All right, after all that, we land on the two books that I wanted to make this series of videos about because they are so weird that I had to make it. I had to talk about these books because they are so insane. I had to talk about it. The first book in the series, The Magician's Nephew, aka the second to last book that I guess C.S. Lewis decided to write. Also, the prequel to everything. That's right, this is the prequel to the best book in the series so far, and to be honest with you, my personal favorite, because it answers a lot of questions, but it is also just bad crap insane that it won me over, just how utterly obnoxiously insane this is, and I love it for it. It answers a lot of questions, like for instance, why there's a lamp in the middle of the woods in Narnia, and why there's an evil witch, what's the deal with the lion, all that stuff. But it also adds a lot of questions to the lore that make it even more juicy and even more hilarious. It puts a smile on my face. I don't know why. Normally when there's more questions than answers, I get angry. But for this, I'm just like, listen, okay? I don't know what C.S. Lewis was on. Probably nothing. He probably just, read the Bible and was like, oh yeah, I gotta add this. Or I don't know, maybe he had a lollipop and he's sugar prone. He was like, oh yeah, let's go here. Because, and oh boy, here we go, the juicy parts. In the real world, okay, not in Narnia, not in any of these other worlds, but we'll get to that. Not in any of the other worlds, but in this real world that we live in, okay, Sherlock Holmes, okay, exists, okay, Atlantis also exists, or existed, and actually, went underwater. 3, the Atlanteans invented transdimensional travel. Yeah, aka they traveled to other dimensions. They discovered transdimensional travel. While we, at the time of this book, hardly just barely discovered electricity and used it for electrical things. I know. I know. So let's get started, shall we? Oh boy, I'm in love. I'm in love with this book. So it starts out with Polly in the 1910s meeting Diggory, who coincidentally is the professor, the kind of knowing some things but not everything professor in the first book. So this is the origin story of this professor. I know. It answers that question. Thank you. Diggory apparently is moved from the country of England to the city of London and all that, because her mother moved back in with her sister, because his father is off in India. Gee, I wonder where they got that from. AKA the real story of J.R.R. Tolkien. I don't know if this is really what C.S. Lewis actually also transpired or whatever, but there's a lot of similarities between that and J.R.R. Tolkien's actual biography. So, yeah. But yeah, they're buds and all that, but there's also this weird uncle that also lives with them, Uncle Andrew, because of course there's got to be an uncle that's evil or whatever. But yeah, so Polly and Diggory, they're going traveling and all that, and they find this weird cavern thing that's like a butler's cavern thing that's close to the kitchen or something. So they discover it, they explore it, but then it's apparently goes to Uncle Andrew's room, Joy, and after doing some weird stuff with Polly, like talking weirdly to her or something, he gives her a ring, a gold or green or whatever ring, and she puts it on, and disappears. Gee, I wonder where that came from. It's not plagiarizing if you take it from your best friend. It's actually beneficial. Yeah, it's a gift. It's a true gift. But, of course, because the person left, we gotta have a giant lore dump, the classic Lewis lore dump, if I'm gonna call it now, the LLD, if you will. And this one, oh gosh, it's a trip. Get ready for this. So, Uncle Andrew has a box of dust. Yes, a box of dust that apparently his mother got from other worlds. Yes, his mother apparently was the last of a long line of fairies. Yes, and inside the box is stuff that is extremely ancient, apparently from the lost city of Atlantis. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're there. And apparently Andrew's been dedicating his life to being a magician and using these old things to use as his magic tricks and all that stuff. Yes, and through creating and dedicating his life to these ancient relics, he created 3 gold and 3 green rings. The gold ring transports people anywhere in time or anywhere in space between dimensions or whatever, and the green one sends you back. And of course, he's a big wuss to try it on himself, so he recruited Diggory and Polly to do it for him. Yes, the insanity has become upon us, ladies and gentlemen. The insanity is now upon us. Before we go any further, I get the whole Atlantis, whatever, big box of dust or whatever. I get that in Narnia, right? If that happened in Narnia, I wouldn't question it. But this is happening in the real world. Yeah, this is happening in the real world, and yeah, it's just absolutely insane. And I love the fact that the real world is as magical as Narnia. We just haven't discovered it yet. But oh, get ready, because it gets even weirder. I can't spoil it for you. Well, actually I can. This is this whole video. Let's spoil it for you. So, Diggory is kind of, guilted into going after Polly with 2 rings to get them back, and puts on a gold ring. But then all of a sudden, after he puts on the gold ring, he's transported into this pond that's in the middle of the woods. He meets Polly, but it takes him a while to actually decipher if they're actually them, because the air is so full of life and so green that it's very hard to see through it. Yeah, enter your marijuana 420 jokes here. The 2 eventually decide that this is a world between worlds, and each and every pond is an entrance to the greater multiverse. Yep. Something that Stephen King did with The Dark Tower, something that Star Wars is now doing with Ahsoka and all that stuff. Something that the MCU, DCU, whatever, and all these other monster universes and all that, all of them lead right to this Narnian book. Yes, the world between worlds, multiverse, they're all here. Oh man. But yeah, if you're a kid and you stumble upon the world between worlds from Star Wars, and each exit leads into the multiverse, what do you think you would do? Would you A, go back to the real world and live out your life, or B, go out and discover other worlds. Yeah, of course, they did go and discover other worlds. Duh. But of course, they half-heartedly go back to the real world just to see if they can, and yes, they can. There you go. Onward to the other worlds. And of course, their first world they go to, what world do you think that it could be? Do you think it could be the Star Trek? You think it could be Star Wars? You think it could be, I don't know, the Lord of the Rings? Do you think they actually found Bilbo Baggins? No, it's none of those things. It's actually a dead world. Yeah, everything's dead. Castles, ruins, everything is just the epitome of death is this world. Yeah. You know, as much imagination as C.S. Lewis puts into this book, you would think that this world would be exciting, but it's not. But as they go forward, they find this castle that has statues of the previous rulers. And, you know, at first they're nice, but then as they go farther into the castle, every statue gets begrudgingly worse and worse and more evil until they see a 7-foot-tall woman that could, you know, just kill you on sight if so inclined. But of course, underneath her is a inscription with a bell telling them that if you feel so inclined, you can ring said bell. And of course, Polly's like, no, maybe we shouldn't. But Diggory's like, yes, we can. And starts ringing the bell. And of course, the 7-foot-tall woman comes to life. Hence, the beginnings of the evil witch queen from the first book. Yes, this is the origin story of that. However, do you remember what I was saying about, you know, answering some questions, but, you know, gaining a lot more questions? Yeah, this is not one of them because we get another LLD Lewis lore dump from the evil queen, as her name comes to be, Jadis. Queen Jadis. Because, of course, her name is Jadis. Apparently, she comes from a long line of rulers, and she was trying to usurp, I guess that's the correct pronunciation of that word, usurp the throne from her sister, but, you know, starts to do a lot of magic and all that, and sends out a spell that destroyed the entirety of the planet and turned her into stone. So at least in all of his, you know, just ignoring lore or whatever, at least Lewis decided to give us the backstory of the queen. But you may be thinking, well, is this actually what happened, or is she lying? How did this whole creation kind of happen within this world? What's the deal with that? You know, it's just, you got some answers, okay? You're just reaching out, okay? You're just reaching for more answers to questions that you may have, you know, whatever, okay? Just don't even think about that. But hey, if you thought we're done with the cuckoo craziness that is this book, oh no, there's more, and it's juicy too. So Jadis thinks that the ruler of Earth is Uncle Andrew, so she tells the kids to make her go back to Earth to take over Earth, much the same way that she did with her planet. And the kids are like, no, and they try to ditch her, but she pulls onto Polly's hair. She gets transported to the world in between worlds, if you will. And she's so bombarded with life that it almost kills her. But of course, Diggory screws up again and watches the evil queen kind of, you know, gain strength back before going into the earth pool. And the evil witch follows them, and all of a sudden, the evil witch from Narnia is in London. Yes, cross between worlds. It's actually during all this that Jadis comes over to, Uncle Andrew, makes him wait on her hand and foot. And of course, Andrew likes that because he's into the taller women. Yeah, there you go. But yeah. So apparently magic can't, she can't conjure up her magic in this world because, of course, this world is too depressing and sad for even magic to exist. But she's still, hulking out and being tall and being strong and all that. So, during the night, she does a lot of crazy things like rob a jewelry store. She, throws a woman across a room. She surfs a, horse-drawn carriage or whatever and beats up a couple of cops with a rod of steel that she got from a lamppost. So there you go. In fact, it was during this surfing little thing with the cabbie and all that Diggory and Polly zerp her back into the world between worlds, if you will, but also bring along Andrew, the cab, and the horse, too. And after a huge kerfuffle, trying to get back to Earth and all that, somehow they beat her up to do that. They get transported to this other pond. They go to this other pond, this other world. But this one's different. This one is just an endless void, if you will. Ooh, boy, here we go. Now, the cab driver actually is the chillest guy of them all, which I gotta say, I'm a stand for. This guy, okay, G. He's a G. But what happens next? Oh, Aslan, he's here. Ho-ho. And guess what? He sings the world into existence. There you go. Gee, I wonder where he got that from. Actually, this comes from the Silmarillion that was being developed by Tolkien at the time, but wasn't actually published during this time. But it's widely well known that he was actually trying to sell the Silmarillion as a prequel, sequel type of thing to The Hobbits, which was, published before Narnia even came about. So, yeah. And they were close friends. So, yeah. Also, Jadis, although, the world is being creating and all that, she, tries to throw the post at Aslan, but it just ricochets off of him like nothing and lands in the forest. But because the world is being created at the same time and all that, it grows from a post into a lamp. So that's why there's a lamppost in Narnia, because of that. And I guess that was Jadis's only, idea to do. So she just runs away into the horizon. Yeah. And then, Aslan, he creates all the animals of Narnia and makes them all able to talk, including the horse that the cab driver guy owned. And then they have a debate about whether or not it's okay to use horses as, work horses. It's kind of funny. Andrew faints and, becomes, I guess rolled around with the animals because the animals are just like, what the heck? What's up with this guy? But yeah. So because the cab driver is a good Christian fellow here, he becomes the first king of Narnia, and on top of that, absorbs his wife into Narnia, who's just okay with it as well, singing a tune and all that, whatever, and she becomes queen of Narnia. And apparently, come to find out, this guy's name is Frank. So yeah, he becomes a cab driver into a king of this weird world that just has talking animals. Okay. You see this. This is why I love this book. Because there's random characters in here that are just insane stuff happening before his eyes or their eyes. And they're just like, whatever, it's a Tuesday. But upon seeing all this, Diggory's like, oh, hey, maybe this lion is some kind of god or something. So, hey, can you help my mom, please? Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, apparently Diggory's mom is, ill. So, yeah, it's on death's door. So, Diggory's like, hey, can you help my mom? But Aslan's like, oh, hey, did you bring this evil witch over here into my new world? What's up with that, my guy? And he's like, oh, yeah, maybe I did. So, to prove that to redeem himself and all that he's actually good, or whatever, Aslan asks Diggory to bring him an apple from this tree on the other side of the world. And if he does, then they can use that apple to, I guess plant a tree that can combat the evil witch's powers for the rest of known existence for a good long time. And you may be thinking, oh yeah, this is a good setup for the next book. But no, this is not, the story's not done, kind folks. Oh, we're just getting started with this one. Yeah, Aslan brings about the horse, gives him wings, and tells Diggory to hop on, and he's like, okay, we're off. So, they're flying, and then all of a sudden they're there in the orchard with all these magical apples, and there's an inscription there that he reads, and all of a sudden, oh, wait, the witch, she's here. Oh, no, and she turns out that if you eat the apples, you can be young, perpetually young, but at the cost of your happiness, and you turn extremely pale, which is why she's the White Witch. Yeah, there you go. Also, apparently, she uses temptation and, this apple, oh no, oh hey, maybe you should use that apple to help out your mother instead of just giving it to the cat. You can just use it to save your mother right now. You can do that. But thank God, Diggory's like, nope, done listening to my random thoughts in my head. Time for you to shut up. Grabs that apple, whisks it back to Aslan. Aslan plants that apple and makes the tree. It's up in battle, the witch and all that. And Aslan's like, okay, yeah, you're good. Good going. Here's another apple to help out your mother. I just want to say this. Great juxtaposition here. Because actually, what they're saying is, yeah, he could have gone and given the apple to his mother, and she could have been okay, But he did the right thing, so Aslan gives the apple to him, which I guess solves her life without all the, juxtaposition of her being pale or having, a bad time at it, It solves the issues. But yeah, I guess, after she eats the apple, gets all better and all that, Diggory, digs a hole, if you will, and plants the apple core and becomes a tree. And the tree, after it gets fully grown, I guess, blows over in a storm. And Diggory uses that tree for none other than, you know what? Guess what she makes the tree into? A wardrobe! Yes! Connections, they're all here. Polly and Diggory remain friends to the end, and, Uncle Andrew stops experimenting with magic items and all that. But just want to point this out. At the very end of the book, Lewis still insists that Andrew never forgot his love for the evil witch. Which I just gotta say, Christians are prone to not be into fetishes or whatever, but the fact that Lewis just adds this giant fetish to this one guy, nice touch. So I gotta say, overall, this book is just amazing, okay? It is just insane when it wants to be. It explores a lot of questions and answers, and on top of that, you can just read this book and not have any connection to, the first book. It works that well. The main character has a solid, beginning, middle, and end. It actually has character development. I gotta say, we were missing that. I was missing that throughout this entire book, read along and all that. The fact that there's actual character development from beginning to end, amazing. Thank God. Finally, CS was like, okay, time to actually roll up my sleeves and make an actual good beginning to end book. Finally. However, I do have some notes, not as blatant as I did with the Voyage of the Dawn Treader or, most of the other sequels, but there are some questions if you really think about it. Not necessarily, blatant lore cross-examinations that, need to be addressed like in the Horse and His Boy, necessarily. But, I guess the big thing is, I guess C.S. Lewis is trying to teach kids about, the Bible and all that because, the school, London schools or whatever weren't teaching them, apparently, as we concluded with The Silver Chair. So I guess this book series was supposed to be that bridge between, the Bible and, life. But I just got to think, why, why exactly did Lewis put these particular things within this book? Like, for instance, the humans being the first king and queen of Narnia, just, out of the cold blue, just bringing them into this world and all that. It's sort of like saying that us humans were just transported from this other world or something into this because, whatever reason. As a fantasy book, fine, whatever. But, this is trying to teach kids the Bible or something like that. So, why? Why? Why did Aslan, who's apparently Jesus, why is Aslan a lion? We never get that answered. Why specifically is this Jesus allegory a lion? That's never answered. Also, it brings about the whole creation, basically, of the devil. Like, this devil is supposed to be the evil witch, right? But, kids who don't necessarily, make that connection will think, oh, wait, is the devil in the Bible just, brought from another dimension or something? Are we just brought from a whole other dimension or something? Like, yeah, gets a little mucky. But I gotta say, just because of the pure insanity, I personally think this is better than The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is like, if I were to rank this, I would rank it above Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, honestly. But because I'm rating these based on, the pros or whatever, a lot of other things kind of weigh it down, I guess, technically. So I would just put it just at the same level as the first book. Just on the level of being, yes, technically, you can read this without having to read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You can, have a character arc that had, the kids go through this character arc. So there's that too. Also, Lewis, I saw the parallels for Paradise Lost. I see you, the girl, the Hope girl that's supposed to be Hope, and the kid, the guy that's supposed to, be going through the whole thing and all that. I get you. I see what you're doing there. A children's guide to beginners, or Paradise Lost, or whatever that thing is, that big epic poem that's supposed to be the girl's name being Hope or whatever. Yeah, I see what you're doing there. I see you. I see what you're doing. But I also see why this is the second most popular book, mainly because it answers questions to the first book. I get that. It also doesn't answer some questions that I would like to know. Why is Jesus a lion? So what's the deal with that? Why is the devil transported into this world just for the sake of being transported into this world? Why is the first daughter of Adam and sister of Eve, or daughter of Eve and son of Adam? Why are they just transported here? And all of a sudden, they're the first king and queen. There you go. What's the deal with that? Why weren't they just created? Could they just be created? Just like the other animals that could walk and talk, with the horse that can fly. You could do that. Why don't you do that? This book's the more I think about it, the book is going to make me angry. I'm just going to keep it on the good path here. The fact that we got Atlantis is real, apparently, in the real world. The fact that Sherlock Holmes actually exists in the real world. The fact that the evil witch made a Hulk smash throughout the entire world, and no newspapers decided to report on that. The more I think about it, whatever. The more I think about it, the more whatever. I'm gonna make it okay. This is fine. We got a good character arc. We got a good weird things. It's weird, crazy, cuckoo shenanigan things. Something that you would think that C.S. Lewis was high off his ass, but he's a Christian, so he probably wouldn't be. Okay, whatever. The end. Great book. On par with the first. The end. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are not done.